Welcome to this new lecture. Today we will be talking about post-occupancy evaluation, and we will talk about what post-occupancy evaluation is, how to conduct post-occupancy evaluation studies, how to perform long-term measurements and detailed spot measurements, what's the role of surveys in post-occupancy evaluation, and finally what's the connection between certification schemes such as WELL and post-occupancy evaluation. So firstly, the definition of post-occupancy evaluation. Post-occupancy evaluation comprises objective, such as measurements, and subjectives, such as surveys techniques to assess the actual indoor environmental quality. Basically, we want to know what is happening inside the building. Why do we want to conduct post-occupancy evaluation studies? Several purposes. Firstly, we want to fine-tune a new building or building refurbishment to enhance well-being and productivity. Then, we may want to inform designers and contractors about the actual performances of their products. Then, we can create benchmark data to compare different buildings. We can improve the certification schemes, the way in which they give the scores to the different options. And lastly, we can support the investment decision process. So when we talk about post-occupancy evaluation, long-term measurements are very important to monitor the building for long periods, such as months or even years. And the purpose is to identify the trends and hence to spot possible issues. And typically we measure several parameters at the same time for long period of times in different locations, including the opening of doors, windows, and environmental parameters. And that's an example of a technology we developed in-house at URAC. It's called Environmental Quality Box, and it enables us to measure a long list of parameters. This is the first type of device we created. Now we have a second version. We are working on a third version. And it enables us, it's a robust tool to collect measurements over a long period of time. It enables in detail to measure indoor air quality, thermal parameters, and visual parameters. Each device is connected with the LoRaWAN protocol to a gateway, and we can connect several of them to the same gateway. We can save real-time data to our database, and it's possible to have multiple connections, and there is an internal memory as a backup. When we spot some trends, some possible issues that requires a better understanding, a deeper analysis, then you can conduct some few spot measurements, measuring just a few parameters, but in more details to understand and verify the magnitude of the likely issues. Usually they are done for a short period of time, but they require the presence of people, experienced personnel to conduct the measurements. Surveys are complementary to the measurements because they are used to measure the subjective perception experienced by occupants of the building. They are typically tailor-made on a specific building and repeated over time multiple times. In this case, as an example is the EXCEED, which is a Horizon 2020 project completed by URAC Research. There were 4 main modules, so-called core modules about general informations, occupants' activities and control over the environment, questions about the perceived indoor environmental quality, and some information about the clothing, plus 2 optional modules, one about the sick building syndrome and one about other information that may be interesting to collect depending on the type of building and issues. And lastly, let's talk about certification schemes. These schemes, such as the WELL and LEED protocols, are not mandatory. Sometimes it's the client that requires them. Sometimes it's just to have another thing that shows the quality of the constructed building. And both of them have foresee the possibility of actually they require to conduct post-occupancy evaluation surveys. Perhaps WELL is a bit more completed. Here you see a screenshot of the website of WELL, which I encourage you to visit. And here you can see, have an understanding on the different type of questions that people are asked to do. But the whole purpose, the whole thing we have to remember is this. The purpose of conducting post-occupancy evaluation surveys, of conducting post-occupancy evaluation in general, so detailed measurement, spot measurement, long-term measurements, is to get a better understanding of how the building is working in reality, to firstly enhance the quality of the experience of his occupants, secondly to support the design of future better buildings, and then, as I said, to enhance these schemes as well, because obviously they require certain things today, but if they see that in practice there are other things to be considered, they will evolve, they will change over time. So thank you for your attention, and I hope that was interesting.